Good morning and Assalamualaikum to all viewers. Welcome to E-Table Talk with Sarah, episode 3. On this beautiful day, we will be chatting about the generations clash in our world today. What leaders may need to know about managing generational differences at the workplace. You see, when I was researching the topic, I remember the corporate space I was at. Brings back a lot of memories when I was managing a team full of mature individuals, where others were more comfortable working with younger generations. Where there was a clash is where the team had a mix of different levels of generations. An example would be an older employee of baby boomers who had been in the department for years, didn't take well to any of the Gen Z's proposal to change. And due to that, emotions were at stake and projects unfortunately had to be on hold. It was a resistance to shifting customer communications to those younger thinking and more in tune with their ways of buying. Because of their age and lifestyle, clashes happened and resulted in decrease of sales. Unfortunately, that didn't matter to the older man who was set in his own way. My younger friend was at his end and felt like his energy, creative energy was being wasted, fighting to what seemed to him like an obvious improvement. It's often assumed that the differences between generations can be dramatic. So today, I have on board Khairul Mazlan, who will help us address this issue, a transformational leadership trainer, millennial trainer, and a virtual motivator. We met through LinkedIn. Khairul trains and inspires business leaders to achieve breakthroughs on strategic management, innovation, Zoom, virtual games as well. What caught my attention is when he mentions that basketball is a passion for him. I do believe that when you're a good sportsman, you're a good leader. It teaches us the importance of being a team leader and the importance of every person in the organization, from the head coach down to the person that it supports during playtime. There's one that loves to work in a group and inspire people to push beyond the limit. As a millennial trainer himself, he helps transform leaders into superhumane, to change the term boss into leaders that actually move people to be better and go beyond expectations. So for Khairul, in achieving success, one must always have the right team and support to excel in any task given. A business leader has taught him about handling different types of people in the sales environment specifically. So I can definitely relate to his statement and agree with him 100%, where he loves making the workplace a fun place to be. Not a home for the employee, but more of a playground for them to give maximum output and enjoying themselves. So welcome, Khairul. Thank you for taking your time off to be with me today. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Today, a new Friday for me.
Mm.
So
Friday,
I'm looking forward to this interview.
Friday is always good, relaxing day. I think last week was
Yeah.
all tied up. This week's a bit more relaxing for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first question to you, Khairul, would be if you can explain to our viewers on perhaps what are the generations that exist in our workplace today, and why is it important to learn about generations?
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. Before I continue, I would like to thank you again for this e-table talk. I'm looking forward to it because it's an opportunity for me to give out my thought, which sometimes people did not agree with it, but people get to it after a few days of thinking about it. So when we are talking about generation gap, right? Theoretically, there are the baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and strawberries. I don't know how the terms come out, but for me, in a workplace or in an organization, there are only two. It's either the old school or the new schools. Why I say like that is because it's not about how old or how young you are. It's more about how knowledgeable you are, how experienced you at the thing that you are doing now and the thing that you are going to do, and how good you are to adapt to new things. You can see as old as 90 plus year old people to lead an organization, but and adapt to changes, and you can also get as young as 20 years old to do better than the older people in the same job or in the same positions. So instead of looking at the generation gap, right, is more on justifying the knowledge gap itself, and also the adaptability of people going into a direction that an organization wants. Because sometimes what happens is actually uh, companies, organization wanted to move forward, move beyond their limits itself that they have set. However, a lot of people are resisting to that. When people are resisting to that and the purpose are changing, new talents that have the similar value are needed to come into the organization. And then that is the theory, when the theory comes in about generation gap, whereby I look at it, and actually where people don't have the similar values to move forward from where they are now to the place that they want to be. Um, a lot of people are thinking that the youth or the young generation are too proud of themselves. They don't like to be with the older generation. But sometimes you look, if you ask back, what do you want and what did they want? If both of you doesn't want the same thing, uh, it's answer all your questions.
Mm.
That is why they are not talking with you, and you cannot talk with them, because both of you have wants and needs different things in your organizations. So if you are looking into generation gap, you need to look into which schools you are. Are you the old school rock and roll? You don't want to have techno into it. You don't want to have rap into it, or you are the new school that takes the best of everything going forwards. So seems like game. We are still playing old type game. The rainbow in the 80s and the rainbows in the 2000s are still rainbows.
Mm.
How fun is it? It depends on you, and how good it is actually on the adaptability of people that create that game itself. So sorry, so you know that which year I'm coming from, which games that I love to play. Yeah, that's how I look at generation gap.
I see. That's a valid point, Carol. And you made it very clear that it depends on our values. It depends on our purpose. So different ages we have different purpose. My purpose when I was younger is different than now. So that's when if we don't adapt, if we don't have that adapt adaptability mentality, then we're in trouble, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me something, Cairo. What do you think could tick the I'm not going to go through the boomers generation or all because we have only two thinkings, which is old school and new school. So what do you think would tick them to perform at their best? The bosses, the employers, the managers would love to hear this. How can we make them perform at the very
All
best?
right. Okay. We need to look at how our brain function are. Normally, when people are talking about how I do shift in performance, how going into to breakthrough is actually the key is in understanding how brain functions. Normally, our brain have these reptile versions where we everybody have since we are born. Uh, they are doing only two things. One is they survive to thrive, which means they will do their best to keep on living. Another one, they will conserve energy because our brains are high energy consumption organs in our body. So these two things is a basic thing, and people will normally do only three things when they are pushed into a new direction. They are either freeze, not doing anything, loading and thinking and doing all the risk assessment thing, or they will fight to prove a point, or they will fly. Fly means they will run away. That's how our body are. When MCO comes in, you will see people are doing something or doing nothing or keeps quiet.
Mm.
Then if you look at the leaders, right, that are the three types of action being done by all of the leaders in the world. So what makes them tick and how do you make them perform is actually knowing their pain and pleasure. Let's play a game because I love playing games and I will play with Sarah on this. I will give you a words and then you just come out with another word that pop up in your brains, right? You ready? Either you have played it before or you've played again, you cannot run from your subconscious actions.
It's okay,
You
Khairul.
ready, Farah?
I love playing games. You caught me off guard, but let's do this.
Yeah, all right. Okay. The first words will be money,
Necessity,
necessity. All right. The second word will be family,
supportive,
supportive. Okay. And the third word will be work,
pleasure,
pleasure. And the fourth word will be health,
important,
important. And the last word will be boss,
wavelength.
wavelength. All right. So, what do you mean money as a necessity?
Everybody needs money to function in the world today
All right. Why do you say everybody?
because it's it's the well, money is a source for good living.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, because for those with children, we obviously need money to take care of them.
All right. Great. Okay, good. You need money to take care of them. And why does family is something you call supportive?
For whenever life happens, and I'm perhaps talking about the negative side of life, which happens all the time, families family support is very important, in all aspects.
Great. And does it as important as health?
If it's more important as health, I think it's related. If your family is not supportive, then you'll go sick. But health is key. Health is key.
Yeah. All right. Great. So if you notice that the words that you use, right, all are you are in pain saying negative words, but you are in pleasure saying the positive word. Do you notice that? Whenever you want to come up with negative words, you are in pain. The reason behind it because your brain have this filter, either you are moved by pleasure or you are running away by pain. So to make people actually move forward, uh, improve in their productivity and things like that, you need to know what type of person you are, and what type of person your subordinates are. Either they are people that move by pleasure or people that are running away from pain, because people that move with pleasure, right, and when you keep on doing pain, sorry, when you keep on pressuring with pain, saying that if you don't do this you will bankrupt, if you don't do this your family will suffer, if you don't do this you will not go forwards, so things like that will actually demoralize people because they don't see the pleasure out of it.
Mm.
However, people that move by pain, if you are giving that fear of losing things, fear of not getting things, fear of going bankruptcy, things like that, it will actually move them moving forward. So they want to run away from that situation, especially those that come out free from a bad experience, bad parenting, or having issue with a lot of things around them, with their environment, things like that. Normally they will move after that. So people with pleasure, you need to give them what's next. If you do this, what will you get? If you do this, how far you can go with it?
Mm.
If in sales, I will notice that the bigger rewards that I give, right, the bigger move of numbers I will gain. So if let's say, okay, if we perform this next 6 months, we are going overseas. So they will do a lot of things, working as best as they could just to get to go overseas. I don't even tell which country. Even go Singapore is already overseas. So for them, it's something rewardful enough. But you will see in your organization there are people that, oh, okay, go overseas, okay lo, but I can't go. I have kids to take care. I have parents to take care who wants to look at them for 3 days and 2 nights. And how did they feel if I'm go on overseas trip and they are there waiting for me to finish my enjoyment sessions, things like that. Because people with pain will always remember their pains. So that's why in organization, why a lot of company fail to do that, because they are either focusing on pain or they are either focusing on pleasure. So if you can balance that as a leader, uh, you actually can move people into the next level.
No, that's very true. We are all structured differently. Yeah, our objectives are all different. But usually, what happens in organization is like the my way or the highway method, and the
Yeah.
method which they use is usually based on their own personal pain or pleasure, and they expect people to be the same, and that's where it starts to crumble, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Thanks for that. Viewers will know what kind of person I am now, but it's okay. All right. So my next question would be maybe, Khairul, if you can share with me what are the typical, on your experience, what are the typical, because when we chat, you always mention values, values. So what are the typical values of the old school and the new school, um, these two generations? What do they, um, yeah, what are the typical values?
All right. Okay. Why do I mention no values? Okay, because for me, right, if you want to have a good organization, a good company, you need to have a synergy of value among the top leaders until bottom of your organization. Why I do keep on talking about value? Because values are the one that actually make a company stagnant, make it down, or move forward. Because that's a game. I love to call it value to your core. In that game itself, before I talk about more the game, but why I love to do games, because by doing games, people did not control what they do. In games, you can lose and win, and you still breathing. And the reason why I do games versus giving you tests or Q&A question, because using your Q&A session or your test A, B, C, and D, what happens actually you are using your conscious mind. And when you are using your mind, you're only tapping that 10% of your brain to give the best answer that you think people will love it. Games are tapping into that other 90%. So value to your core are a game to look into your emotions, and it will filter out the best value out of you. So either you like it or not. I run it a few times. People are trying to cheat it. You still get trapped in your 90%, because subconscious is something you cannot control.
Mm.
And when you know your values are, people, I said about why I keep on talking about values, because values are the one that people normally say it, but they don't really have it. Because whenever I play this game, a lot of people are talking about integrity. A lot of people are talking about honesty. But even if I'm playing on that games, what normally happens if people lost integrity by round 2 or round 3 of that game. Even for me, I can only hold it up to 5 and 6, because a lot of people will sacrifice a lot of values to get what they want.
Mm.
And if I compare to doing that games locally and internationally, for our Malaysian, I noticed that our integrity is lower in values, but it's quite high when I played it with international participants. And why values are important is because it's what makes you you dive in, how a company or organizations have the synergy to work together and move forward. Because if my value as a boss is a profit first company, I can say anything about integrity, I can say anything about helping people, but whatever I do is always profit first. If my value is actually making impact, my value is actually families, anything happen, I will put my family first.
Mm.
So my top value is actually family. So if people are normally ask, Khairul, why do I always bring my family around? Even if I'm going out for a long trip, right? I always bring my wife and kids, even for my team building sometimes when I have extra room, because my top value is family. And I do let go my integrity for my family, things like that. Whenever I play games, and which I do that, I do realize that a lot of people release a lot of value to get what they want. And if you look at Dilt's logical thinking, right? Whenever you change your value, your purpose will change, your identity will change, and in an organization, a lot of things will change, including the environment itself. So whenever you want to create something, move into a new direction, value of your subordinate, your friends is important to bring things forward. Because if you did not have that similar value, then there is where you have clash of uh, a clash of opinion. It's not difference of opinion, or it's clash of opinion because your value with your partner and you are not the same. Then that is where you see people are in a company, then they break up, they everybody are creating their own company because of different of values. And in an organization, if you are creating a teams, that's why normally if I do interviews, I don't really see how good they are in in the university, but I look more on what value they have when they are in front of me. And doing games are the best way to see what value that they have. So if you are talking about differentiation of generations value, right? Because the old school guy, they have experienced a lot of things to create that value, while the younger generation, if just now I look at deals, if you look at Maslow hierarchy of needs, they are differencing a different type of experience which create their values. I have a friend, his top three value is shut up and move on.
Mm.
Yeah, which I know I never heard of it, but that is his top three value, and he hold to it. And what happens is during our session of therapy, because I'm doing NLP too, um, I happen to know that that value are born from an experience when he was 12 years old. So during our session, I noticed that there's something happened there with his father that create that emotions and create that value and make him what he is now. So whatever our experience are the one that create our value now. The reason why uh, my first value is family is because the time that I have with my family, how to say, I have less time with our family during my past experience. So that value create from it, and it just starts. It keep on layer on layer and layer, and it became you. So however, there are certain value that we have commonality, if I say it, whereby things like honesty, things like straight talk, things like virtual things. There are values that we have. Doing goods, that are value that we have. It doesn't mean it need to be a top 10 or top 3 values, but that values are the one that people look, our brain look at into to actually create the synergy and to move forward. Because whenever the value clash, the relationship won't be that strong and you can't go far with it. Even if you are creating teams, you need to know what are the value of your team members for you to coach them, for you to motivate them. Because if your value are profit first, you want to coach somebody that are doing things to help people and to get people transform, although the salary may be less than what you expected, you will have clash of values.
Mm.
So then that is what happens actually when people talking about clash of different value on different generation, because the thing that I look and the thing that you look maybe on different thing, although the word are same. My integrity and your integrity maybe are the same word, but it will be different meanings on different rules all the way together. Will I answer
Interesting.
that question? Yeah.
Yes. No, definitely. And while while you were speaking, I was relating to few experiences that I've gone through, personal and work as well, and makes sense why relationship fails, why team fails, why project fails. Is when we fail to humble ourselves to understand the values of other people as well, and which leads to now I'm curious to ask you. It is also relating to the last question for today for you on tips to managing the different generation. How can one understand, for example, you may humble yourself to open up to understand the values of other people. I think I have that too, but some people don't. Some people still maintain my way or the highway method. Either you stick to my values or you're out. How can one change themselves? What are the tips that you can perhaps share today to help them perhaps
Okay.
change that? Or can they be changed?
Uh,
That's the question.
okay. If things like that, right? What happen? Normally, what happens actually when um, you are working below the line means that you are reporting to someone, which means that someone's are the one that recruit you, and the recruitment for me is not successful because they are recruiting somebody that have a different value than what they have. What happens actually, whenever you are, if you are looking at this logical thinking, whenever you want to do changes, a lot of training that I noticed that whenever bosses are trying to do changes in their organization, they change the environment first. If you look at that theory, right, you are changing an environment, but you are not changing the top itself, the purpose, the identity of that company itself. You won't change anything. You only change the outer part of it, but the internal part will still be there. So if you are working with somebody that having this selfishness of my way or highway, you need to check what value they have. The reason behind it, sometimes their value is uh, self-centered, win at all costs, while you want win for all value. So whenever you have that clash, then that is where you have the different opinions and visions. So it's not about uh, am I humble enough or not, but normally what happens actually, uh, the rapport is there for us to have a good table talk like this to actually exchange that values. Are you willing to give your value and get a new value so that you can have a similar understanding on the things that you are going to do. So if you cannot get that exchange of value to move forwards, right, it's either you are keep on clashing until the end, or someone needs to do I will say directly, someone needs to go out so that someone with the similar value need to comes in.
Mm.
The reason why I say that, because if not, both party will lose.
Yeah.
The people on top will be drained out to get the message into their subordinate. The people on the bottom part, on the lower tier, will also be tired out because they want to do something else. Most of the time they want to do their purpose is bigger than themselves.
Right.
So yeah, when their purpose is bigger than themselves and there's something hindrance on top, uh, it, it will be a negative reaction for both part. So
Yeah.
someone needs to go out, either at the top or people below, so that someone with similar value can make things forward. So if you are looking into changes, right, changes need to come from top to bottom instead of bottom up. A lot of people are doing bottom up because they don't want to change themselves. And whenever I do coaching, I still remember one of my coachee, right? I did not do coaching until the not after the second month of MCO.
Mm.
The reason behind it, because he don't want, he is not ready to be coach. Whenever his business are stuck, MCO already stopped business, right? The question I ask is actually, are you pivoting, and when are you pivoting? He said he doesn't want to pivot. He want to be like that, learn new things, and once MCO ends, lockdowns end, they want to run as normal. After 2 weeks, he's going 1 month. After 1 month, another more 2 weeks, and then go 2 months and plus. And then he said to me, I need to see you. So when he said, I need to see you, it means he are ready to be coached, then I can coach it. Because if I coach during MCO, which means the environment change, right? But the person itself doesn't want to change. He is a CEO of a company. He doesn't want to change. Although I give all the pivoting ideas, if you want to run your business BAU before lockdown, nothing will happen. So whenever he is ready to be coached, then he can find his breakthrough to go further than what he expected before. So that is when the transformation are, and now he's going regional. Before he never thought of going regional, although he have friends around the world. So although you have friends, connection around the world, anywhere that famous people that you know, but yourself, or I will say your identity are not ready to go to it, you can go out with all the rich guy or all the famous guy, but until that shift of intent are not changed, you will still be there.
Mm.
Yeah, so you need to know the values that they have, and then exchange it and look, uh is it workable or not before to take your next action.
Yeah. Yeah. So it all starts from us. We
Yep.
determine the path to success or the other way. So it starts from us. Where we can change, we change. If you can change a little bit around the people around you, that bit of community around you, that would be good. Showing by example, kind of.
It's
Yeah.
more on you do first until people aware that what you do.
Yeah.
Anything happens, right, you need to do it, because if you notice, most changes happen are changes that done in small scale first.
Mm.
When Uber happens, nobody want to talk about Uber. If you look at e-wallet happens, everybody say it cannot be done, but changes happen from the top instead of you ask people to change. Then it will have the trend of people are taking into that new idea, but then it will fade out because it's not something that have the intent to move forward. They just, okay, let's test this, let's run it, and then look, if it's happen, it's happen. If not, then we move. into that. There are no people that working on it continuously to make it as a big success.
Yes, yes. And it's very typical of human nature to wanting to see the result, then they will follow. But there are the special breed of people who will make it happen and for others to follow as well, which leads on to our topic today. So, where I look at what you have shared with us today, for both schools, the older and the newer school, if there is an issue, start with yourself first. Show it to the world where you can, or your team, to your office mates where you can, and things will eventually start to happen from there. Then we lower down our stress.
Yep.
All right. So thank you very much, Khairul, again, for your valuable time today. I'm sure we will have more part twos, part threes, and I'm actually looking forward to work with uh, closely with you for all the virtual games. Now that we are moving to the next normal, next new era, it's so important for us to educate the community on the shift. So stay tuned, Malaysia, Asia. Um, thank you for joining us today.
Thank
Assalamualaikum.
you.
Thank you.
Salam.